My mother looked at the DNA test showing 0% match to my son, then told me to sign the birth certificate anyway, because she'd rather have a grandchild than a son. That sentence doesn't make sense until you understand how I got here, until you see what I saw, until you realize that some betrayals don't come from strangers, they come from the people who taught you what family means. Let me take you back 3 months. To the moment everything I thought I knew shattered. To a Tuesday afternoon when my 3-year-old son looked up at me with eyes that didn't make sense. Ethan was building a tower with blocks on our living room floor. Red block, blue block, yellow block. He had this intense concentration, tongue sticking out slightly the way kids do when they're focused. I was watching him from the couch, half present, scrolling through my phone. Then he turned to show me his tower, and the afternoon light from the window hit his face at an angle I'd never noticed before. His eyes were hazel green, not brown like mine, not blue like Jennifer's. Hazel green with these distinctive gold flecks around the pupils. I put my phone down, stared, told myself I was being paranoid. Genetics are complicated, right? Maybe some distant relative I'd never heard of. Maybe recessive genes doing their mysterious recessive gene thing. But I couldn't stop looking, couldn't stop the question forming in the back of my mind like a storm cloud gathering on a clear day. I got up, walked to the bookshelf where we kept the family photo albums. Jennifer had organized them obsessively. Every birthday, every Christmas, every random Tuesday, labeled and dated. I pulled out the one from last Christmas, flipped through images of wrapping paper and forced smiles and too much eggnog. There, page 7, the family photo my mother had insisted we take. Everyone gathered around the tree, me, Jennifer, Ethan, my mother Margaret on Jennifer's left, and standing just behind my mother, smiling like he belonged there, was Robert Walsh, family friend, my mother's friend, technically. He'd been around for years, showed up at holidays, summer barbecues, Ethan's first birthday party. Nice guy, successful businessman. My mother always spoke highly of him. Such a good man, she'd say. So accomplished. I looked at Robert in the photo, really looked. Hazel green eyes. The exact same hazel green eyes staring back at me from my son's face. And that's when I looked at the man standing behind my mother in last Christmas photo, Robert Walsh, with the exact same hazel green eyes. If you've ever noticed something that made your stomach drop, something everyone else dismissed, you know that feeling. That moment when the world tilts sideways, and suddenly nothing looks the same. Type, I saw it below if you've been there, because what came next changed everything. I closed the album, walked into the kitchen where Jennifer was chopping vegetables for dinner. The knife made these rhythmic thunking sounds against the cutting board. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Hey, I said, kept my voice casual. Random question, Ethan's eyes. Where do you think he got the green from? Jennifer didn't look up, kept chopping. Recessive genes, probably. Your grandmother had green eyes, didn't she? No, she had blue eyes. I've seen the pictures. Then maybe further back. Genetics are weird, Michael. Why are you asking? Just curious. It's striking, that's all. The hazel green is so distinctive. Now she looked up, smiled. But the smile didn't reach her eyes. You're overthinking it. He's your son. He looks like both of us in different ways. Some things skip generations. She went back to chopping. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Right, I said. Skip generations. I left the kitchen, went upstairs to our bedroom, pulled out my laptop, started searching for information about eye-color genetics. Turns out 2 brown-eyed parents can have a blue-eyed child if they both carry the recessive blue gene. But hazel green from brown and blue, the Punnett squares I found online didn't support it. Not impossible, maybe, but highly unlikely. I looked up paternity testing, discrete labs, home testing kits, reviews comparing accuracy rates. That night, Jennifer reached for me in bed. I pretended to be asleep because suddenly I couldn't touch her without thinking, what else are you hiding? The DNA test kit arrived 3 days later in discreet packaging. I told Jennifer I was going to Daniel's place to watch the game. Instead, I drove to Daniel's house with the kit, explained the situation in his kitchen while his wife took their kids to the park. Mike, Daniel said, leaning against the counter, you sure about this? Once you know, you can't unknow it. I already know, I said. I just need proof. He nodded, didn't argue. That's the thing about real friends. They don't tell you you're crazy when your gut is screaming that something's wrong. I swabbed the inside of my cheek. Then I drove home, waited for Jennifer to take Ethan to the park, and swabbed his cheek with the second kit while he played with his toy cars. He thought it was a game. Daddy's silly, he said, giggling. Yeah, Daddy's silly. I mailed the samples that afternoon. The lab said results would take 7 to 10 business days. Those were the longest 10 days of my life. I went to work, came home, had dinner with my family, put Ethan to bed, made small talk with Jennifer about nothing important. The whole time, this question pulsing in the back of my mind like a second heartbeat. Is he mine? Jennifer didn't notice anything was wrong. Or maybe she did, and she just didn't care. Either option made my skin crawl. My mother called twice during those 10 days. Both times she asked how Ethan was doing. Both times she mentioned how much he looked like Jennifer's side of the family. He has her smile, Mom said, and those beautiful eyes. So striking. The second time she said it, I almost asked, Mom, whose eyes does he really have? But I didn't, because part of me already suspected she knew. The way she defended Jennifer so quickly when I'd asked about the eye color. The tone of her voice, not curious but careful, like she was managing me. Mom said, why are you tearing apart your family over eye color, Michael? Like she already knew what I'd find. Day 11. The email arrived at 3:47 p.m. while I was in a meeting at work. Subject line, DNA test results available. I excused myself, walked to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and opened the PDF on my phone. Alleged father Michael Harrison child, Ethan Harrison DNA analysis complete. I scrolled down, past the technical jargon, past the graphs I didn't fully understand, down to the conclusion section. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. Conclusion, Michael Harrison is excluded as the biological father of the tested child. 0.0, the number I couldn't unsee. The truth Jennifer couldn't talk her way out of. I sat there in that bathroom stall for 20 minutes staring at those numbers. 0%, not 99%, not even 50%, 0. The report was clinical about it. Dispassionate, just facts. Combined paternity index less than 0.0 or down. No biological relationship detected. Please contact our genetic counseling services if you have questions. I had questions. I had so many questions they were choking me. I drove home in a fog. Jennifer's car was in the driveway. I walked in. She was on the couch scrolling through her phone. Ethan was in his room napping. We need to talk, I said. She looked up. About what? I held up my phone with the PDF still open. About this. Jennifer's face went pale, then red, then carefully neutral. She set her phone down. Where did you get that? I got a DNA test. The question isn't where I got it. The question is why the results say I'm not Ethan's father. Michael, just don't. 0%, Jennifer. The test says 0% probability that I'm his biological father. So I'm going to ask you one time, is Ethan mine? She stood up, paced to the window, looked out at our quiet suburban street where nothing bad was supposed to happen. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. Biology isn't everything. That's not an answer. You're his father in every way that matters. Jennifer, is he mine? Silence, long enough that I knew the answer before she said it. No. The word hung in the air between us. Small word, big detonation. Who? I asked. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. She turned to face me, and I saw something in her expression I'd never seen before. Not guilt, not shame. Something closer to defiance. It was a mistake. It happened once. I didn't mean for it to happen. Who was it? I can't tell you that. You don't get to decide what you tell me anymore. You lost that right the second you let another man father a child and then let me believe he was mine for 3 years. 3 years, Jennifer. I've been changing his diapers, waking up at night when he's sick, teaching him to ride a tricycle, and he's not even mine. He is yours. No, he's not. The test says he's not. Biology says he's not. The only person saying he's mine is you, and I don't believe a goddamn word out of your mouth right now. Jennifer's jaw tightened. You want to know who? Fine, it's Robert. Robert? Of course it was Robert, the man in the background of every family photo, the man with the hazel green eyes. Robert Walsh? My mother's friend Robert? Yes. How long? It happened once, 4 years ago. I was confused, and he was kind, and it just happened. Don't give me that. It didn't just happen. You made a choice. You made a lot of choices. You chose to sleep with him. You chose to keep the baby. You chose to lie to me about whose child it was. Those are all choices, Jennifer. She started crying, big tears rolling down her face. In the past, those tears would have destroyed me. Now they just made me angry. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. But Michael, he needs you. Ethan needs you. We can work through this. Work through this. You want me to work through the fact that my son isn't my son, that my wife cheated on me with a family friend and then let me believe her affair child was mine? Please, just let me call your mother. She can help us talk through this. My mother? Why the hell would I call my mother? Jennifer pulled out her phone, hands shaking. Because she understands. She knows how to... She was already dialing. Jennifer, what are you doing? Getting help. We need help. The phone rang twice. Then my mother's voice. Jennifer, what's wrong? Jennifer's voice broke. He knows. Michael knows about Ethan. He got a DNA test. I could hear my mother's intake of breath through the phone. Not surprise. Something else. Something that sounded almost like preparation. Put him on, my mother said. Jennifer held out the phone to me. I took it. Michael, my mother said, I need you to calm down and think about what you're doing. What I'm doing? Mom, I just found out the kid I've been raising for 3 years isn't mine. I know that. But Michael, that child needs stability more than you need. More than I need what? The truth? My dignity? To not raise another man's child while everyone lies to me? Don't be dramatic. This family can survive this if you just... Mom, did you know? Pause. Too long of a pause. Did you know? Michael, this isn't about what I knew or didn't know. Yes or no. Did you know Robert was Ethan's father? Another pause. Then quietly, yes. The world tilted again. Worse this time. How long have you known? That doesn't matter. How long? From the beginning. Jennifer told me when she found out she was pregnant, and I advised her that telling you would only hurt everyone involved. The child needed a father. You and Jennifer had a good marriage. There was no reason to destroy it over biology. I looked at Jennifer standing there crying, looked at my phone with my mother on the other end of the line, looked at the DNA test results still glowing on my screen. My mother looked at scientific proof that my wife's child wasn't mine, then asked me to leave her house to stop upsetting Jennifer. No. Wait. That wasn't right. That happened next. After I drove to her house, after I showed her the test results myself because I couldn't believe she'd known all along, after she looked at the paper showing 0.0% probability of paternity and barely glanced at it before telling me I was overreacting. I hung up on her, looked at Jennifer. "Pack a bag," I said. "You're leaving." "Michael, please." "Pack a bag, you and Ethan. Go to Robert's house since he's the father, or go to my mother's house since she's so invested in protecting your lie. But you don't get to stay here. Not tonight." Jennifer opened her mouth to argue, then saw something in my face that made her close it. She went upstairs. I heard drawers opening, closing, the sound of a suitcase zipper. 20 minutes later, she came downstairs with Ethan half asleep on her hip and a weekend bag in her other hand. Ethan looked at me with those hazel green eyes, Robert's eyes, and said, "Bye-bye, Daddy." I didn't correct him, just nodded. Jennifer loaded him into her car, drove away. I stood in my empty house, picked up my laptop, started going through old photos, not just the Christmas album, all of them, every family gathering for the past 5 years. And there he was, Robert Walsh, in the background of Ethan's first birthday party, standing next to my mother at the summer barbecue 3 years ago, at Thanksgiving dinner, at Easter egg hunts, at my father's funeral, for God's sake. In every single significant moment of my married life, Robert had been there. Not front and center, never obvious, just there, watching, smiling, talking to my mother like they had their own private conversation going while the rest of us pretended to be a family. Daniel came over that night, sat with me while I went through photos, didn't say much, just sat there being present while I counted. 17 major family events in 5 years. Robert attended 16 of them. "Mike," Daniel finally said, "who invited him to all these?" I pulled up the old emails, the Facebook event invitations, the group texts about holiday plans. Every single one came from my mother. That's when my friend Daniel said, "Mike, Robert's in every single photo for 5 years." Robert Walsh wasn't just a family friend. He was in my family, invited by the one person who should have protected me. I didn't sleep that night, couldn't, just kept scrolling through those photos, seeing Robert's face in the margins of my life. The more I looked, the more questions multiplied like bacteria in a petri dish. How did Jennifer even meet Robert? We'd been married 2 years before he started showing up at family events. I'd never introduced them. Jennifer didn't know him from work or friends. So where did the connection start? By 4 a.m., I was running on coffee and rage. That's when I remembered my mother kept everything. Every email, every card, every scrap of paper with sentimental value. She had boxes in her basement, labeled by year, organized like a filing system. If there was a trail, it would be there. But I couldn't just show up and start digging. Not after yesterday. Not after she'd admitted to knowing about the affair from the beginning. I needed another approach. I called Daniel at 7 a.m. "I need your help with something." "Anything, man. What do you need?" "My mother has old emails backed up on that laptop I gave her 3 years ago. The one she said was too slow and gave back to me for parts. Do you still have it in your garage?" "Yeah, in the box with the other tech stuff." "Why?" "Because I need to see what she was saying before the affair started. I need to know if she orchestrated this." Silence on the other end. Then, "You think your mom set up your wife with Robert?" "I don't know, but I need to find out." Daniel's garage smelled like motor oil and old cardboard. We found the laptop in a box labeled E-Waste 2022. It took 40 minutes to get it running again. The hard drive was intact. Daniel, who worked in IT, helped me access the old email archives. "What are we looking for?" he asked. "Anything between my mother and Jennifer from around 4 years ago, before Ethan was born." He pulled up the email client, filtered by sender and date range, started scrolling. There, August 15th, 4 years ago, 1 year into my marriage. Subject, "You need to meet Robert." From Margaret Harrison to Jennifer Parker Harrison. "Jennifer, I know you and Michael are going through a rough patch. He gets moody like his father did. It's genetic, I'm afraid. I want you to come to the charity gala next week. I'm bringing someone I think could be a good mentor for both of you. His name is Robert Walsh. Brilliant businessman, wonderful man, and honestly someone I wish I'd raised instead of, well, let's just say you'll see what I mean when you meet him. He'll be at our table. Wear something nice. Margaret. I stared at the screen, read it again, then again. She said she wished she'd raised him instead of, Daniel's voice trailed off. Instead of me. I finished the sentence. My own mother wished she'd raised Robert Walsh instead of me. Daniel kept scrolling, found the next email. September 3rd. Subject, last night from Jennifer Parker Harrison to Margaret Harrison. Margaret, thank you for introducing me to Robert. You were right. He's fascinating. We talked for hours about everything. Michael never wants to talk about anything meaningful anymore. Robert made me feel seen. I needed that. From Margaret Harrison to Jennifer Parker Harrison. I knew you two would connect. Robert is everything Michael could have been if he'd applied himself. Don't feel guilty for enjoying good conversation, dear. You deserve someone who appreciates your mind. The emails continued. Margaret and Jennifer back and forth for months. My mother encouraging Jennifer to spend time with Robert. For networking, she'd say. For mentorship. Always with these little jabs at me embedded in the encouragement. Michael is so focused on his job, he doesn't notice what you need. You and Robert should grab coffee while Michael is working late. Don't let Michael's insecurity hold you back from good friendships. October emails, November emails, December emails, then January, the month Ethan was conceived according to the birth date, the emails stopped completely, like someone had pulled a plug. The email subject line, Jennifer, you need to meet Robert, sent by Mom, 1 year after our wedding. She set them up, Daniel said quietly. Your mom literally match-made your wife and Robert. And then the emails stopped right when... I couldn't finish the sentence. Right when Jennifer got pregnant, Daniel finished for me. I sat back in the chair. The garage felt too small, too hot. Why would my own mother do this? Daniel shook his head. I don't know, Mike, but this is premeditated. This isn't just she knew and kept quiet. She actively pushed them together. I printed every email, 47 pages, each one a small knife. But the biggest knife was still coming. I just didn't know it yet. I went to my mother's house on Thursday afternoon. She wasn't home. Her car was gone, which meant she was probably at her church committee meeting. I still had a key from when I used to check on the house while she traveled. She'd never asked for it back. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked the front door. I wasn't breaking in. I was taking back the truth that had been stolen from me. The house smelled the same. Lavender potpourri, old books, that specific smell of my childhood. For a second, I almost turned around, almost left, because part of me still wanted to believe my mother was on my side, that there was some explanation that would make this all make sense. Then I remembered her voice on the phone. Yes, I knew, from the beginning. I went downstairs to the basement. The boxes were exactly where they'd always been, lined up on industrial shelving, labeled in my mother's neat handwriting. 2019, photos. 2020, tax documents. 2021, correspondence. I pulled down the boxes from the last 5 years, started going through them systematically. Birthday cards from friends, Christmas letters, receipts for charitable donations, nothing unusual. Then I found it, not in a labeled box, in an old canvas tote bag shoved behind the storage shelf, like it had been hidden but not thrown away. The kind of hiding that suggests someone wants to keep something but doesn't want it found by accident. A leather-bound journal. The cover was worn, the pages slightly warped from being closed quickly over the years. My mother's handwriting on the first page. Personal Journal 2020. I shouldn't have read it. It was private. But privacy is a privilege you lose when you conspire against your own child. I opened to a random page. April 2020. Ethan would have been about 6 months old. Watched Michael play with his son today. He doesn't suspect a thing. Jennifer called me after. She's worried he'll figure it out, but I told her Michael isn't observant enough to notice. He never has been. Even as a child, he missed the obvious. Thomas, God rest him, always said Michael took after my side of the family. Emotionally distant, not particularly bright. I hate to say it, but he was right. This baby is better off with Robert's genes than Michael's. Stronger stock. I stopped breathing. Read it again. My mother wrote that I wasn't bright enough to notice I was raising another man's child. She wrote that Ethan was better off without my genes. My hands started shaking. I flipped back to earlier entries. Found one from December 2019. Ethan would have been born by then. Jennifer called today. She's panicking about the birth certificate. Should she list Michael as father? I told her, of course. Michael will sign anything she puts in front of him. He's always been pliable that way, easy to manage. Earlier, September 2019, during Jennifer's pregnancy. Jennifer told me today she's pregnant. She told me the truth. Robert's the father. I'm not going to lie. I'm relieved. Michael was never going to give me the kind of grandchildren I wanted. Too passive, too content with mediocrity. But Robert is everything Thomas and I hoped Michael would be. Ambitious, charismatic, successful. This child will have Robert's intelligence, not Michael's limitations. I told Jennifer we'll keep this between us. What Michael doesn't know won't hurt him, and this baby deserves a stable home. Biology isn't everything. I closed the journal, opened it again, read the entry one more time to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. My mother didn't just know about the affair, she celebrated it. She thought my genes were inferior. She thought I was too stupid to notice. She thought Ethan was lucky to have Robert as a father instead of me. In her own handwriting, my mother didn't just know about the affair, she celebrated it. In her own handwriting. I sat on the basement floor for I don't know how long, the journal open on my lap. The smell of lavender drifting down from upstairs, mixing with the musty basement air, all those years of Sunday dinners, holiday celebrations, Mother's Day brunches where I'd given her cards saying, "Best mom ever." And the whole time, she thought I was genetically mediocre. I heard a car door slam outside, footsteps on the porch. My mother's key in the front door. I stood up, took the journal, walked upstairs. My mother was in the kitchen setting down grocery bags. She turned, saw me, and her face went pale. "Michael, what are you doing here?" I held up the journal. "I found your diary." She reached for it. I pulled it back. "How did you... That's private." "Private? You want to talk about private? Let me read you something private, Mom." April 2020. Michael isn't observant enough to notice. He never has been. Even as a child, he missed the obvious. Michael, you don't understand the context. September 2019. Robert is everything Thomas and I hoped Michael would be. This child will have Robert's intelligence, not Michael's limitations. Your words, Mom, your handwriting. My mother's jaw tightened. You had no right to read that. I had no right? I had no right? You helped my wife cheat on me. You celebrated when she got pregnant with another man's child. You spent 3 years watching me raise a kid you knew wasn't mine, and you think I'm the one who violated boundaries. You're twisting this. I'm reading your own words. Those were private thoughts. Private thoughts where you call your own son stupid, where you say I'm genetically inferior, where you celebrate that your grandson has Robert's DNA instead of mine. My mother walked to the sink, poured herself a glass of water. Her hands were steady. That's what I noticed. Her hands weren't shaking at all. "Michael," she said, turning to face me, "sit down. Let me explain." I don't want to sit down. Fine, stand, but listen. I never meant for you to see that diary. Those were my private thoughts during a very complicated situation. Yes, I knew about Jennifer and Robert. Yes, I encouraged their friendship because I thought Robert would be good for both of you. Good for both of us. He slept with my wife. It happened one time, Michael. Jennifer was going through something. Robert was there, and it happened. She called me crying, told me everything, and I had a choice. I could tell you and destroy your marriage, destroy that innocent baby's chance at a stable family, destroy everything. Or I could help Jennifer work through it and move forward. You don't get to make that choice. That was my choice to make. You would have left her. You would have abandoned that child. And for what? Pride? For honesty? For not raising a child that isn't mine while everyone lies to me? My mother set down her glass, walked toward me, and when she spoke, her voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes from absolute certainty. Blood doesn't matter, Michael. Love does. That child needs a father. You are his father in every way that matters. You've raised him. You love him. That's what makes you his father, not some DNA test. I'm your blood, Mom. She looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Something cold. And you're disappointing me. The words hit harder than any curse would have. Flat, matter of fact, like she was commenting on the weather. Disappointing you, I repeated. Yes, Jennifer is the daughter I always wanted. She's smart, ambitious, cultured. She appreciates art and literature. She challenges herself. You've been working the same middle management job for 6 years. You're content with mediocrity. You always have been. And now you're going to throw away your family because of a number on a piece of paper? He's not my family. He's Robert's son. Robert is a better man than you'll ever be. There it was, finally said out loud. Then why didn't you just adopt Robert as your son? Save everyone the trouble? Don't be childish. Childish? Mom, you knew from the beginning. You watched me buy baby furniture. You watched me pace the hospital waiting room. You watched me cry the first time Ethan called me Dada. And the whole time, you knew he wasn't mine. The whole time you were thinking, thank God this baby has Robert's genes instead of Michael's mediocre ones. My mother's face hardened. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes. I'm glad Ethan has Robert's genetics. I'm glad Jennifer found someone who challenges her. I'm glad this family gets a second chance at producing someone exceptional instead of just adequate. The word adequate hung in the air. That's what I am to you? Adequate? You're my son, and I love you. But love doesn't mean I can't acknowledge reality. You were a sweet boy. You're a decent man. But you've never been special, Michael. Not the way your father and I hoped. And when Jennifer told me about Robert, I saw an opportunity. A chance for this family to have someone truly remarkable. Is that so terrible? I looked at my mother standing there in her kitchen, defending the woman who betrayed me because she thought my genes weren't good enough. That's when I realized she didn't choose Jennifer over me. She'd been choosing against me my whole life. I need to go, I said. Michael, don't do this. Don't tear apart this family because of pride. That child loves you. Jennifer wants to work on your marriage. This can all be fixed if I just what? Pretend? Sign the birth certificate like a good little adequate son and raise Robert's exceptional child. Is that what you want? I want you to grow up and put someone else's needs first for once in your life. I stared at her. This woman who taught me to ride a bike, who'd bandaged my scraped knees, who told me every night that she loved me. All of it felt like a script now, lines she delivered because that's what mothers are supposed to do, not because she meant them. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. You know what the saddest part is, Mom. I actually believed you loved me. I thought you were on my side. Even yesterday when you said you knew about the affair, I thought maybe you were just trying to protect everyone. But you weren't. You were protecting the family you wished you'd had. The one with Robert's kid instead of mine. Michael, I left, got in my car, drove to Daniel's house because I couldn't go home. Couldn't be alone with this. Daniel's wife, Sarah, took one look at my face and ushered their kids upstairs. Daniel sat me down, listened while I told him everything, the emails, the diary, the conversation. "Your own mother," he said quietly. "Jesus, Mike." "She thinks I'm genetically inferior." She put it in writing. She celebrated when Jennifer got pregnant with Robert's kid because she thought it would improve the family bloodline, or some eugenics nightmare bullshit. That's not normal parent behavior? No, it's not. Sarah came back downstairs. "Michael, you're staying here tonight. I'm making up the guest room." "I can't." "You're staying. That's not a request." I stayed. The next morning, Daniel had already left for work. Sarah made me breakfast I couldn't eat. Then she sat down across from me with coffee. "Michael," she said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "Your mother and Jennifer, they've been texting a lot. I saw Jennifer's phone once at that birthday party last year. The screen lit up with a text from Margaret. I didn't think anything of it then, but now..." "What did the text say?" Something like, "He doesn't suspect anything, just keep doing what you're doing." I put down my coffee cup. "When was this?" "Last June, maybe July." 6 months ago. The diary entries had stopped at Ethan's birth, but that didn't mean my mother had stopped helping Jennifer. It just meant she'd stopped writing it down. "Do you think there are more texts?" I asked. "I don't know, but Mike, if you're building a case, legally, I mean, you might want to check." A case, right, because this had become legal now. Annulment, custody, fraud, potentially. I called Daniel. "That laptop, can you recover deleted text messages?" "From your mom's old phone backup? Maybe. If she backed up her text to that computer, give me a few hours." He called me back at 3 p.m. "Got 'em, 3 years worth. Mike, you need to see these." I drove to his house. He had printouts spread across his kitchen table, hundreds of text messages, Margaret to Jennifer, Jennifer to Margaret, starting right after Ethan was born and continuing until 2 months ago. I started reading. Margaret to Jennifer, March 2020. "If he questions paternity, I'll handle it. I've been handling Michael his whole life. He's manageable." Jennifer to Margaret, March 2020. "Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Robert says he'll support us financially if it comes out, but I really hope it doesn't." Margaret to Jennifer, August 2020. "Michael asked about Ethan's eyes today. I told him recessive genes. He accepted it immediately. See? Manageable." Jennifer to Margaret, December 2020. "I feel guilty sometimes, watching Michael with Ethan. He's such a good father." Margaret to Jennifer, December 2020. "Guilt is wasted emotion. You gave that child a good home and a good father figure. Michael is lucky to have a son at all, even if he's not biologically his. Stop second-guessing yourself." Margaret to Jennifer, June 2021. "Robert wants to spend more time with Ethan. I think we should arrange more family gatherings. Michael won't think twice if I'm the one inviting Robert." Jennifer to Margaret, August 2022. "Thank you for understanding. Robert and I never meant for this to happen, but I'm glad he's in Ethan's life, even if Michael doesn't know why." Margaret to Jennifer, August 2022. "You two are meant for each other. Michael will accept it eventually, or he'll lose both of us. Either way, Ethan has what he needs." 3 years of messages. 3 years of my mother coaching my wife through lying to my face. 3 years of my mother coaching my wife through lying to my face. Have you ever discovered proof that someone planned your betrayal, that it wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness, but a sustained, calculated conspiracy? Type planned below if you understand this feeling. Because what I did next, I had to do for me, for whatever was left of my dignity. I needed one more thing, One final piece of evidence that couldn't be denied or explained away. I needed my mother's own voice admitting what she'd done. Sunday afternoon, I drove to her house, knocked on the door like a normal son visiting his mother. She let me in, cautious but not hostile. "Michael, I'm glad you came. We need to talk about this reasonably." "I agree," I said. "I want to understand. Can we talk?" She relaxed slightly, led me to the living room. We sat. My phone was in my pocket, recording app already running. "Mom," I said, "I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. No more managing me, no more spinning this, just the truth." She sighed, folded her hands in her lap. "What do you want to know?" "Start with how Jennifer and Robert met." "I introduced them at the charity gala. I thought they'd connect well. They did." "Did you know they would have an affair?" Pause. "Not initially, but when it happened, I wasn't surprised. They're more compatible than you and Jennifer ever were." "So you knew about the affair?" "Yes." "When did you know Robert was Ethan's father?" "Jennifer called me when she found out she was pregnant. She told me the truth." "And you told her to lie to me?" "I told her to consider what was best for the child. You and Jennifer were married. You could provide stability. Robert couldn't marry her. He was already involved with someone else at the time. The logical choice was to keep the paternity quiet and raise the child in an intact family." "Did you ever think about telling me?" "No." The answer was so blunt it almost made me laugh. "Why not?" "Because you would have reacted exactly as you're reacting now. Emotionally, irrationally. You would have left Jennifer, traumatized that child, and destroyed any chance at a peaceful resolution." "A peaceful resolution, right. Me not knowing my son wasn't my son, that's peaceful." "He is your son, Michael. You raised him. That makes you his father." "No, Mom. It makes me the man who got tricked into raising Robert Walsh's child while everyone lied to me." My mother's expression hardened. "This is exactly why I didn't tell you. This self-pity, this victim mentality. You have a beautiful child, a wife who wants to save your marriage, and a family who supports you, but all you can focus on is biology. Because biology matters." "No, it doesn't. I introduced them, Michael. I saw the spark between Jennifer and Robert. And honestly, I thought, why not? You'd have a child, I'd have a grandchild. Jennifer would be happy. Everyone wins." There it was, on tape. You wanted them to have an affair?" "I wanted Jennifer to be happy. She wasn't happy with you. Robert made her happy, and the result was Ethan. I see no tragedy here except the one you're creating." "I'm your son." "You were stable, Michael. Financially stable. That's what Ethan needed. Robert is the biological father, yes, but you're the one with the steady income and the suburban house and the... So I was the safe bet, the boring option, the good enough husband who'd pay for Robert's kid." "Don't twist my words." "I'm not twisting anything. You just admitted you introduced my wife to another man, saw them connect, encouraged them to spend time together, and when she got pregnant, you helped her lie about it because you thought Robert's genes were superior to mine." That's exactly what you said. In your diary, in these text messages, and now on this recording. My mother went very still. "You're recording this?" "Yes." Her face flushed red. "That's illegal." "Actually, it's not. Single-party consent state. I'm allowed to record conversations I'm part of. My lawyer explained that to me." "You've lawyered up." "Of course you have." She stood. "Get out of my house." "Gladly. But Mom, one more question. When you said Robert was the man you wished you'd raised instead of me, did you mean that?" She looked at me, and for just a second I saw something flicker across her face. Not regret, not guilt, just honesty. "Yes," she said, "I meant it. Robert is everything I hoped you'd be. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it's the truth. Now get out." She said it all, on tape, including the part where she admitted she'd rather lose me than admit she was wrong. I left, got in my car, Sat there shaking in my mother's driveway. I had everything now: the emails, the diary, the text messages, the recording, evidence of a 3-year conspiracy. Proof that my own mother had orchestrated my wife's affair, celebrated my genetic inferiority, and helped cover up paternity fraud because she thought I was too mediocre to deserve the truth. All I had to do now was decide what to do with it. I met with Catherine Rhodes on Monday morning. Daniel had recommended her, a family law attorney with a reputation for not taking shit from anyone. She sat across from me in her office, reading through the evidence I'd brought: the DNA test, printouts of the emails, pages from the diary, text message transcripts, the audio recording on my phone. She didn't speak for 10 minutes, just read, occasionally making notes. When she finally looked up, her expression was grim. "Mr. Harrison," she said, "this is one of the most clear-cut cases of paternity fraud I've seen in 15 years of practice, and the involvement of your mother adds a conspiracy element that's, frankly, disturbing. Can I get an annulment?" "Absolutely. Fraud is grounds for annulment in this state. Your wife knowingly deceived you about paternity. That's textbook fraud in the inducement. The marriage contract was based on false pretenses." "What about Ethan?" "That's more complicated. You've acted as father for 3 years. A court might find you've established a parental relationship regardless of biology. But given the circumstances, the deliberate deception, the conspiracy to hide paternity, I think we can argue you shouldn't be held financially responsible for another man's child. Robert Walsh is the biological father. He should bear that responsibility." "And my mother?" Catherine leaned back in her chair. "Your mother can't be charged criminally. She didn't commit paternity fraud herself, but her text messages and diary entries prove she aided and abetted your wife's deception. That could be relevant in court to demonstrate the scope of the conspiracy. It shows this wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was a sustained, calculated lie. I want her to face consequences. The court of public opinion can be effective. Once these proceedings are public record, and they will be, people will know what she did. That kind of social consequence can be significant." I nodded. "What do I need to do?" "File for annulment this week. We'll subpoena Robert Walsh for paternity testing. We'll present all your evidence, and then we let the legal system do what it does best: expose the truth." The papers were filed Thursday. Jennifer was served Friday afternoon. My mother found out by Saturday morning. Jennifer must have called her immediately. Sunday evening, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. My mother standing on my porch with a manila folder in her hands. I almost didn't open the door, but curiosity won. "Mom, Michael, I need to talk to you." "I'm done talking. Please, 5 minutes." I opened the door wider. She came in, stood in my living room like she was visiting a stranger's house. "I got a call from Jennifer's attorney," she said. "They're requesting my text messages, my diary. They want me to testify." "Good." "Michael, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing to this family." "What I'm doing? What about what you did?" She set the manila folder on my coffee table, opened it. Inside was a blank birth certificate, official state form, Ethan's name already filled in. Mother Jennifer Marie Harrison, father blank line. "Sign this," she said, "right now. List yourself as the father. We can end this entire mess if you just sign this paper." I stared at her. "You're insane." "I'm trying to save this family. Ethan needs a father on his birth certificate. You've been his father. Just make it official." "So I can commit fraud? So I can lie under penalty of perjury?" "No." "Then you're going to destroy that child's life. Is that what you want? To punish an innocent 3-year-old because your ego is bruised?" "My ego? Mom, you and Jennifer lied to me for 3 years. You celebrated when she got pregnant with another man's baby because you thought my genes were inferior. You orchestrated the affair. And now you want me to commit fraud to cover it all up? It's not fraud if you love him. Yes, it is. It's literal legal fraud. Signing a birth certificate knowing you're not the biological father is fraud. My mother's hands clenched around the birth certificate. Sign this right now, or you'll never see me, Jennifer, or Ethan again. There it was. The ultimatum. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I'll tell everyone you abandoned your family. I'll tell them you're unstable. I'll tell them you chose pride over that innocent child. I'll ruin you, Michael. I'm your mother. I know how to hurt you. I know every weakness you have. I've been documenting your inadequacies since you were born. She said it so calmly, like she was discussing grocery shopping. You'd destroy me to protect Jennifer. I'd do whatever it takes to protect that child. And if that means cutting you out of our lives permanently, so be it. Blood doesn't matter. Love does. And I love Jennifer and Ethan more than I love watching you destroy them with your selfishness. The motif. She was using it as a weapon again. The phrase she'd used to justify betraying me, now twisted into a threat. I walked to the door, opened it. Get out. Michael, get out. Take your birth certificate, take your threats, and get out of my house. You're making a mistake. Then I guess blood really doesn't matter to you, does it? Because you're about to lose your only son. My mother's face went pale, then red. She grabbed the birth certificate, shoved it back into the folder, and walked to the door. She stopped in the doorway, turned back. I will never forgive you for this, she said. Good, then we're even. She left. I closed the door, heard her pounding on it from outside, shouting something I couldn't make out. Then footsteps, car door, engine starting. I stood in my empty house, pulled out my phone, called Catherine Rhodes. It's Michael Harrison, I said when she answered. My mother just tried to coerce me into signing a fraudulent birth certificate. I need to add that to the evidence file. Did you record it? No, but I have a neighbor who probably heard her shouting on my porch. Mrs. Chen next door doesn't miss anything. Get a statement from her if you can. And Michael, you made the right choice. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you made the right choice. I closed the door on my mother for the last time. She pounded on it, screaming. I called my lawyer instead. The court hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Family court closed to the public, but still a matter of public record. Jennifer's parents attended. Robert Walsh was there, looking uncomfortable in a suit. My mother sat in the front row next to Jennifer, holding her hand. Catherine Rhodes presented the evidence methodically. First, the DNA test. Michael Harrison, 0.0% probability of paternity. Then the email showing Margaret introducing Jennifer to Robert 1 year into the marriage. Then diary entries where Margaret celebrated the affair and denigrated me genetically. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Martinez, listened without expression. Jennifer's attorney, a man named Richard Brennan, tried to argue that I'd established a parental relationship with Ethan regardless of biology, that I'd acted as father for 3 years and couldn't simply walk away now. Catherine countered, Your Honor, my client was deliberately deceived. This wasn't a case where he knew or suspected the child wasn't his and chose to parent anyway. This was systematic fraud, aided and abetted by his own mother, designed specifically to trick him into raising another man's child. That's an inflammatory characterization, Brennan started. It's what the evidence shows, Catherine interrupted. She pulled up the text messages on a screen. Read several out loud. Margaret to Jennifer. If he questions paternity, I'll handle it. I've been handling Michael his whole life. Jennifer to Margaret. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Margaret to Jennifer. Michael will accept it eventually, or he'll lose both of us. Judge Martinez leaned forward. Mrs. Harrison, you're the defendant's mother. Is that correct? My mother stood. Yes, Your Honor. Did you write these text messages? Pause. Yes. And this diary? The judge held up the leather journal. Are these your entries? Yes, but they were private thoughts taken out of context. Mrs. Harrison, I'm going to read something to you. This is from your diary, dated September 2019. Robert is everything Thomas and I hoped Michael would be. This child will have Robert's intelligence, not Michael's limitations. Did you write that? My mother's face was flushed. Yes. And this. Michael isn't observant enough to notice. He never has been. Even as a child, he missed the obvious. Did you write that? Your Honor, those were... Yes or no, Mrs. Harrison? Yes. Judge Martinez set down the diary. Mrs. Harrison, are you testifying that your daughter-in-law committed paternity fraud and you assisted her in maintaining that fraud for 3 years? The courtroom went silent. I was trying to protect my grandchild. Yes or no, did you know Robert Walsh was the biological father of the child your son believed was his? Yes. Did you help your daughter-in-law conceal this fact from your son? I helped her make the best decision for yes or no. My mother looked at Jennifer, at Robert, at me, then back at the judge. Yes. The judge looked at my mother and said 6 words that ended it all. You enabled fraud against your son. Judge Martinez granted the annulment, ruled that I had no financial obligation to Ethan, ordered Robert Walsh to submit to court-ordered paternity testing within 7 days, and upon confirmation to assume all parental and financial responsibilities. She also added something I wasn't expecting. The conduct of Margaret Harrison in this matter is deeply troubling to this court. While not criminal, her active participation in deceiving her own son about the paternity of a child he was raising demonstrates a profound betrayal of familial trust. This court hopes that serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of placing one's desires above another's right to truth. It was public record by that afternoon. The consequences rolled out like dominoes. My mother attended First Presbyterian Church every Sunday for 15 years. She led the women's Bible study group, organized the charity drives, served on 3 committees. Within a week of the court hearing, 2 women from her Bible study showed up at her house. I know because Mrs. Chen told me she heard them on the porch. Margaret, one of them said, we think it's best if you step down from leading Bible study, given the circumstances. My mother tried to argue, tried to explain. They left anyway. The church newsletter that month had a brief note. Margaret Harrison has resigned from her leadership positions to focus on personal matters. We wish her well. Church speak for, we don't want you here anymore. Her sister Patricia called her. That conversation I heard about secondhand from Daniel, who heard it from his wife, who somehow got it from someone at Patricia's office. Small town networks are efficient. Maggie, Patricia had said, what you did to Michael is unforgivable. I don't care what your justifications are. You helped someone betray your son, your own son. Don't call me again until you make this right with him. Patricia hadn't spoken to my mother since. The women's club my mother had attended for a decade stopped inviting her to events. Not formally, just invitations stopped coming. Phone calls went unreturned. She became invisible. Robert Walsh lost his position on the board of the Community Foundation within 2 weeks. The organization issued a statement about personal matters requiring his full attention and thanked him for his service. Translation, we know what you did, and we don't want the scandal. His professional reputation took a hit. People in our town talk. Word spreads. Did you hear about Robert Walsh? Got his friend's wife pregnant while the friend's mother set them up. Suddenly, business connections got cooler. Networking events became awkward. Invitations to golf outings dried up. He was forced to take the court-ordered paternity test. It confirmed what we all knew. 99.9% probability that Robert Walsh was Ethan's biological father. which meant he was now legally responsible for child support, for health insurance, for all the financial obligations that come with fathering a child. He'd gone from being the fun family friend who played with Ethan at gatherings to being the man who had to write monthly checks and explain to his future partners why he had a 3-year-old son from an affair. Jennifer lost credibility in every social circle she'd built. The mothers at Ethan's preschool stopped inviting her to playdates. Her book club quietly asked her not to come back. Even her own parents expressed disappointment. Her father told her, according to Daniel's Intel network, "You made your bed, Jennifer. Now you lie in it." She tried to play victim, posted vague things on social media about betrayal and abandonment. But court records are public. People found them, read them, saw the evidence. The comments on her posts shifted from supportive to skeptical to openly critical. She deleted her social media accounts by the end of the month. Margaret's church community asked her to step down. Even her own sister stopped calling. She became the grandmother who betrayed her son. They all thought they could bury the truth. Instead, the truth buried them. I moved into a new apartment in early spring, smaller than the house I'd shared with Jennifer, but it was mine. Clean slate, no memories embedded in the walls. Daniel helped me move. So did his wife, Sarah. Their kids, Sophie, age 6, and James, age 4, helped by carrying pillows and getting underfoot and making the whole process take twice as long as it should have. After we finished unloading the truck, Sarah ordered pizza. We sat on my new living room floor, I didn't have furniture yet, and ate pepperoni slices while the kids chased each other around the empty apartment. Sophie ran up to me, breathless. Uncle Mike, can you come to my dance recital next week?" I looked at Daniel. He shrugged, smiling. "Uncle Mike?" I asked. "She's been calling you that for months," Sarah said. "We hope that's okay." Something in my chest loosened, just a little. "Of course that's okay," I said. "I'd love to come to your recital, Sophie." She beamed, ran off to tell her brother. Daniel sat down next to me. "You doing okay?" "I don't know. Some days, yeah. Some days I wake up and it all hits me again." "That's normal. You went through hell." My own mother, man. My own mother chose them over me." "I know." She thought I was genetically inferior. She wrote it down multiple times. "Her loss," Daniel said. "Sophie asked if you were her real uncle last week. You know what I told her?" "What?" "I told her you're better than a real uncle. You're the uncle who chose to be here, who shows up even when it's hard. That's worth more than blood." The kids were playing some game that involved a lot of shrieking. Sarah was trying to calm them down with limited success. "You know what the weird part is?" I said. "I still love Ethan. I know he's not mine. I know the whole thing was a lie. But when I think about him, I don't feel anger. I just feel sad. Like I lost something I never really had." "You didn't lose it. It was stolen from you. There's a difference." "Yeah." Catherine Rhodes called me that week. "Michael, I wanted to let you know. Jennifer's attorney contacted me. She's considering dropping the custody dispute." "Why?" "Probably because she knows she can't win. Robert is the biological father. You have no legal obligation, and fighting it in court means more public exposure of the fraud. She's trying to minimize damage at this point." "Good." "Also, I got a call from a social worker. They wanted to know if you'd be willing to participate in family counseling with Ethan to help him process the transition." "Transition?" "From believing you're his father to understanding Robert is. They think it would help him if you're involved in explaining it." I thought about Ethan, 3 years old, didn't ask for any of this, didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of adult betrayals. "I'll think about it," I said. I did think about it, thought about it for days. Eventually decided that one conversation, supervised and structured, might help Ethan understand. But anything beyond that? No, I couldn't be in his life long term. It would hurt too much for both of us. I went to one session, said goodbye. Ethan didn't really understand. He just knew Daddy Mike wasn't going to be around anymore, and that made him sad. That was the hardest part, knowing I'd become another adult who disappeared from his life, but I couldn't save him. I could only save myself. Six months later, I was doing better. Therapy helped. Distance helped. Building a new life helped. I started volunteering at a youth mentoring program, teaching teenagers about integrity, about the importance of honesty in relationships, about how to recognize manipulation. It felt purposeful, like maybe something good could come from the wreckage. Daniel's family became my family. Sunday dinners at their house, helping with homework, teaching James how to throw a baseball, attending Sophie's dance recitals and cheering embarrassingly loud. I learned family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shares your values. One Saturday, I met someone. Her name was Rachel. She worked at the bookstore downtown. We started talking about a novel we'd both read. She laughed at my terrible jokes, asked if I wanted to get coffee. I said yes. On our third date, I told her everything. The affair, the DNA test, my mother's betrayal, all of it. I expected her to run. Instead, she said, "That must have been devastating. I'm sorry that happened to you." No judgment, no pity, just acknowledgement. "It was," I said, "but I'm working through it." "You seem like you're doing okay now." "I am, most days." She smiled. "Most days is pretty good, actually." "Yeah, most days is pretty good." A year after the court hearing, I received a letter in the mail. Return address, my mother's house, my name written in her familiar handwriting. I stood in my apartment kitchen holding the envelope, turning it over in my hands. Part of me wanted to rip it open, see if she'd finally apologized, finally acknowledged what she'd done, but I held it up to the light, could see the first line through the paper. "I'm sorry you couldn't understand." I stopped reading. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry I couldn't accept it. There's a difference. I walked to my bedroom closet, pulled down a cardboard box from the top shelf. Inside, the DNA test results, printouts of the emails, pages from the diary, the text message transcripts, evidence of the worst year of my life, evidence I couldn't throw away yet. Maybe someday, not yet. I placed the letter inside, still sealed, closed the box, put it back on the shelf. Some chapters don't get happy endings. Some relationships can't be saved. Some betrayals are too fundamental to forgive. But you get to choose what comes next. Spring again. Daniel's backyard barbecue. Sophie and James running through a sprinkler. Sarah grilling burgers. Rachel laughing at something Daniel said. Music playing from somebody's Bluetooth speaker. I was teaching James how to fly a kite. The wind was cooperating for once. The kite climbed higher, string pulling taut in my hands. "You got it," I told James. "Hold it steady." He was concentrating so hard his tongue stuck out. Just like Ethan used to, no. I stopped that thought, redirected, focused on now. James got the kite stable, turned to me with the biggest smile. "Did you see, Uncle Mike? Did you see?" "I saw. You did great, buddy." Sophie ran over, dripping wet. "Can you push me on the swing next?" "Sure thing." Rachel walked up with 2 beers, handed me one, stood next to me watching the kids play. "You look happy," she said. "I am happy, mostly." "Mostly is good." "Yeah, mostly is good." She leaned into me. I put my arm around her shoulders, watched James fly his kite, listened to Sophie's laughter, felt the sun warm on my face. Blood doesn't matter. Love does. But love means loyalty, honesty, protection. It means showing up even when it's hard. It means choosing each other every day, not just when it's convenient. I learned what love isn't before I learned what it is. The hard way, the painful way, but I learned. Daniel walked over with his beer. "Good day," he said. "Yeah," I agreed. "Really good day." And it was. Some chapters don't get happy endings, but you get to choose who writes the next one. If you've ever had to rebuild family on your own terms, share your story in the comments. You're not alone. None of us are.